So, first of all, very practically and technically, every voluntary action, right? Everything we do, breathing is voluntary to a degree. Most of the breathing we do is not voluntary. We do it without realizing. Our heartbeat's involuntary. Reflexes are involuntary. But anything we engage in voluntarily, whether consciously or subconsciously, the reason we're engaging in it, the reason we're doing it, the reason we're, acting in whatever way we're acting, is because we feel motivated to do it. Now, it may be a primary motivation. It may be because we really want to do that thing, or we really want the outcome of what we're doing. It may be because of a secondary motivation. We want the thing, maybe I'm motivated to go to work, and I might not like work, but I'm motivated to get my paycheck, or I'm motivated to buy something or have an experience that I'm going to be able to have through the money I'm going to earn at work. So I'm motivated to go to work. Right? Even if I'm not directly motivated to work, there's something driving me. And if I decide to go to work, at some level, there's something motivating me to do it, right? So ultimately, every voluntary action we engage in is driven by the fact, or is a result of the fact, that we feel motivated to do it somewhere at some level. It has to be. And if we weren't motivated to do it, we wouldn't do it. It's that simple. And when it comes to being motivated to do something, one of the most important and most powerful factors that's going to determine how motivated we are to do something is how much we believe we can really succeed. Right? The greater the extent to which we believe we can succeed and get the job done, the greater the degree to which we perceive that action or that pursuit as being worthwhile. If we think, we feel, we believe, if I engage in this action, I know I can get it done, I can make it happen, I'm more likely to feel motivated to do it. I might believe very strongly in the outcome of something, but if I don't believe that I'm likely to get the job done, if I don't think I can do it, I'm not going to feel that motivated to try, because it's a waste of time and effort. And it might make perfect sense that I'm not motivated to put in the effort if I'm really not likely to succeed. So, and this relationship between how much we realistically believe we can succeed and how motivated we are as a result, a lot of that is subconscious, right? We're not necessarily consciously aware of exactly how we perceive ourselves. We don't always realize exactly, who is it that we think we are? What is it that we realistically really think we're capable of? Sometimes it's conscious. A lot of times, a lot of this is subconscious, but subconscious or not, it's going to ultimately, all of these things, who we see ourselves as, the way we perceive ourselves, the way we identify, is going to define ultimately and determine how worthwhile we believe it is to try anything. If we feel consciously or subconsciously that we're unlikely to succeed, that it's probably going to be a waste of time, it's very unlikely that we're going to feel very motivated. Even if we believe that it's a valuable pursuit, if we don't think we're going to get the job done, it might make sense even to not feel motivated, and that's why we don't feel motivated, because it doesn't make sense. So, one of really the most important factors in feeling motivated to do something, in being interested in trying to do something, is believing we can get it done. Right? It's that simple. We don't believe we're likely to succeed, we're not going to feel very interested in trying. We're not going to feel very motivated. Now, the specific pursuit, right? I want to get a little bit more specific now. When we talk about, a pursuit, something that we could try, and, the more we believe we can do it, the more we'll feel motivated to do it. There's one thing specifically that I want to focus on, and that is how much we can really move past our behavioral history, right? We all have a history. We all have some baggage of some sort. Practically speaking, hashtag real talk, no one has a perfectly clean slate. No one has lived a life in which every moment was perfect, and all our behavior and actions and thoughts and words and things we did, everything was a perfectly clean slate, right? It doesn't exist. We all have, some degree of less than ideal history. And if we start to identify that as part of who we are, right? If this is my history, I am a person who has this character, who did these things. This is the kind of person I am. I'm a person who does these things. I'm a person who did these things. And I might not say it consciously, but if that's even part of the way I perceive myself subconsciously, and the fact is, it's very likely ultimately, right? It's very natural that we perceive ourselves as the person at the center of all of this baggage, as the person at the center of everything we've done. The bottom line is we are the person at the center of all of that. Where we go wrong is by defining ourselves as being the person who did those things, being a person who does those things. And when that history and those things that we did that maybe it would have been better if we hadn't done them, if those become a part of who we see ourselves as, that's when it really starts to take a toll on our ability to achieve and move forward. Because we may have the ability to achieve great things, but the bottom line is, if the way we perceive ourselves is as someone who's not realistically likely of achieving that, based on that perception, it makes sense not to try. If I believe that I'm a person who's not going to succeed at really turning myself around, I'm not a person who's going to succeed as doing something I've always wanted to do but never succeeded at because I've tried and failed, or I'm not going to be a person who really, really lives life true to my purpose, lives life the way I'm supposed to because I've done the opposite of that so many times throughout the course of my life. If that's the way I define myself, that's who I see myself as, of course, according to that perception, the way I see myself, there is no point in trying, and you know what? I'm not going to try. And based on that perception, it makes sense not to try. The thing is that perception is wrong. That's not who we are, and it's got nothing to do with who we are. And I want to get to really how and why that's the case very clearly, because when we understand clearly how and why this is not at all the case, and the things we've done actually have nothing to do with who we are and don't impact who we are in any way, shape, or form, when we understand that clearly and we see it clearly, first of all, our perspective of ourselves, the way we identify, the way we define ourselves, is going to be actually more empirically correct, and we'll get to that. And practically more importantly, that's going to be transformative to our emotional state, our well-being, and to the scope of what we are realistically likely to achieve because of what we believe we can achieve and what we're therefore motivated to try and motivated to give our best to. If we can free ourselves in how we identify ourselves, in how we perceive ourselves and view ourselves and define ourselves, if we can free ourselves of all of that, then that doesn't have to impact our future, because it doesn't impact the way we see ourselves, who we see ourselves as, which means it doesn't have to impact our realistic expectations of ourselves, and it doesn't have to impact our motivation. And we can move forward and be motivated. And when we're motivated, it can be very surprising just how much we can really achieve and make happen.